Part 21. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 201. Shen Xian and Yan Yao stared at the battlefield motionlessly. Although the dark labor gave people a feeling of being vulnerable, with the appearance of the big devil, the Hellhound King began to lose blood continuously. The 150 level demigod has a health value of 4.2 million and an attack power of 95,000. It has high health and high attack. In addition to the 3 heads that can release level 11 spells, it also has several skills. Summoning Hell 3-headed dogs, 6 at a time. These summoned Hell 3-headed dogs have the skill of splitting. As long as they are not completely destroyed, they will be reborn with the power of lava infinitely. There is also lava armor. Attacking the Hellhound King will indiscriminately bear 3,000 to 5,000 magic damage. Uninformed players, especially thieves, who have extremely fast attack speeds, may die inexplicably. After understanding these skills that threaten them, Shen Xian and Yan Yao have to wait. According to their estimation, the battle will last at least half an hour. During this time, they have enough time to adjust tactics and deal with emergencies. "We don't do anything," Yan Yao asked Shen Xian after she had refreshed her buff status. Shen Xian shook his head and replied, "If there is anything to do, it's probably just picking up equipment. With so many big demons dead, there might be some good equipment, but leaving rashly will damage a lot of lives." "Not necessarily," Yan Yao immediately calculated. "At our current speed, it takes 20 seconds to go back and forth within 100 meters. The average damage of magma is 150, a total of 3,000, and 1 prayer of corruption can replenish it." Shen Xian smiled. "That means you can go out once every 5 minutes, and you can pick up about 1 or 2 items each time. This harvest speed is really good. Because magma will destroy ordinary items, the items suspended in the palace are at least excellent. The excellent equipment dropped by Hell has another feature: the condition level is high, the lowest is 60, and the highest is even 120, with 300 defense and 1000 attributes. In case there is no suitable equipment at a high level, it is also good to use these excellent equipment. But sometimes some exclusive items will be dropped, such as the red flame orb in the hands of the big devil, which is the size of a human and is definitely not something they can equip." After 10 minutes of fighting, there was a short interval in the attack of the Hellhound King. During this period, various large-scale skills were in a cooling state, and it was not easy to have accidents. Shen Xian kicked his legs hard against the palace wall and rushed into the magma immediately. The magma was in chaos, with corpses floating everywhere. It was troublesome to find good things in the vast space, and it could not affect the subsequent battle. Shen Xian took the method of prior observation, first determined a target, and then searched within this range. The first time he obtained the Starbow and Soul Stone, the harvest was good. Soul Stone can reduce the loss of players after death by half. The price on the black market is as high as hundreds of thousands. Soul Stone is only made by some black wizards and necromancers, and it is rare. The Starbow is an ordinary item with a limited use. Only some players who like to collect will want it, because the Starbow is well designed and beautifully decorated. It may also be the world's first 120 level ordinary equipment. One should not be greedy. After searching for 2 items, he quickly returned to Yan Yao. A black light enveloped his body, and a number of 2,300 popped up. Shen Xian's life was almost full. The two waited quietly for Yan Yao's mana to recover, and went again 5 minutes later. The second time was a rare level flash blade and energy ball. This time, the luck was a bit bad. The former was shown as damaged and needed to be repaired, and the latter was equipment for elemental creatures and could not be used by humans. Shen Xian did not take it seriously in his heart. This was an extra gain. The focus was the Hellhound King, and he would not confuse the primary and the secondary. While the two were searching for equipment, the life value of the Hellhound King dropped below 2 million in half an hour. At this time, several players sneaked in from the entrance of the palace, and it was obvious at a glance that the packages behind them were full. Shen Xian recognized that they were players from the Ogre House. The New York soldier was not among them. It was estimated that he was dead, and he was making suggestions remotely. However, seeing the happy look of this group of people, as if they had found something good, he couldn't help but wonder what they did. After a little thought, he figured out the reason. They went to rob the buildings outside the palace. This is not surprising. The buildings outside the palace were not surrounded by magma and were swept by the army again. There was no danger. Although many things were taken away, there were still many things left in the Hellhound's Nest and the Devil's Temple. A careful search would definitely be more successful than here. After a while, the health of the Hellhound King was less than 30%. Shen Xian and Yan Yao were ready to go, ready to get close to the Hellhound King at any time. During this time, the two changed their positions and lurked behind the palace about 100 meters away from the Hellhound King. This place was not as safe as before, but it was in an excellent position. Several redstone pillars that could not even melt lava blocked the sight of the Hellhound King. Although there were some cracks on the pillars, the health and defense were amazingly high, and the Hellhound King's explosive magic would not hurt them. In general, Shen Xian adopted a no-injury tactic throughout the whole process. Any skill of the Hellhound King could kill them instantly, so he would never allow himself to fall down at this time. Even if he could not complete the base mission, he would persist. If the base mission is a national debt, the Hellhound King's drop is a risky investment. As long as he can get one, he will make money. Shen Xian, who is confident in himself, will not choose to be ordinary. They were very close to the Hellhound King, but they were not attacked by the Hellhound King. The Hellhound King's AI judgment ignored such units that had nothing to do with them. As for the drops after his death, what did it have to do with him? Those who should be concerned are the big devils. Therefore, except for a few occasional consecutive fireballs or hellstorms, Shen Xian did not receive any active attacks. The method of dodging consecutive fireballs is somewhat similar to the ancient Raiden series. You only need to move forward, backward, left and right. Yan Yao has never played this kind of antique game, but she has a high level of comprehension. Shen Xian held her hand and moved her, and soon mastered this dodging method. As for the Hellstorm, it is not an instant skill. The flames rising from the magma move very slowly. As long as you run to a fixed attack blind spot, you can be safe. As for the research of skills, Shen Xian is a master. Any skill is the same in essence, and there are always shortcomings. Therefore, they escaped the attacks again and again without any danger, and the life value of the Hellhound King dropped below 5%. The stage below 5% is a race against time. The forces of Count Charlock are all eyeing the terrifying power of the Hellhound King and competing for 30% experience. Shen Xian is caught in the middle and is in a dangerous situation. The Hellhound King activated the Flame Aura, causing 732 points of damage per second. This kind of attack is bound to end in death without the cooperation of a treatment unit. Shen Xian drank potions while receiving treatment and gritted his teeth to persist. The counter-attack at the moment of death will definitely not last long. After more than 10 seconds, he finally ran out of life. The message of 13,000 experience points popped up. Shen Xian immediately scanned the surroundings to find dropped items. But there was nothing, and he was stunned. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 202. There are only two situations in which units do not drop in Kingdom. One is that they do not drop, and the other is that they are elsewhere. So when Shen Xian saw this scene, he immediately reacted and realized that it must have fallen somewhere else. With a flick of his body, he suddenly returned to the back of the giant pillar. When he saw Yan Yao, he said, Let's go to the back of the palace. Yan Yao applied an instant heal to him and followed him downstream. It took the two of them less than a few dozen seconds to get out of the magma and reach the upper level of the palace. The place was well decorated and seemed to be the secret vault of the Cerberus King. However, the damage caused by the Cerberus King to the surrounding environment caused the secret vault to create a tunnel with a width of several dozen centimeters. The cracks allow them to enter and exit at will. Jumping in from the crack, the two came to a shining place. The most eye-catching ones are the shiny coins and gold, which can be worth tens of millions. Although valuable, it is useless if there is no way to transport them away. At the front of the secret vault, on the floor with the devil drawn on it, there is a mountain-like pile of gems. They selectively took away a few valuable gems, such as the Heart of Hell and the Tears of the Ice and Snow Goddess, leaving the large gems that took up space for later. Behind the pile of gems are items, including hundreds of rare items, nearly 10 epic items, and several unidentified items. It would be best to take them all away. But it's not that easy. Shen Xian can see at a glance that there are magic traps attached to the items, which will be triggered if they move. Yan Yao shouted, "Stand back a little, I'll try it with the little devils." Then he summoned the little devils and controlled them to touch objects. Flame, lightning, and ice lit up almost at the same time, and the little devil turned into a corpse without even jumping. The two secretly admired the power of the trap, and estimated that the damage of the trap was 12,000, and it would take 10 little devils to consume it. After the trap was lifted, the ring called the Frost Fire Ring fell into Yan Yao's package. These traps are really scary. The rare ones can do 5-digit damage, and the epic ones can do 6 figures. Since we can't take away everything, we will pick out the ones that can be used first. After hearing what Shen Xian said, the two of them made a choice. Because there are still a lot of scrolls left to summon the little devil, Shen Xian can also use this method of consumption to disarm the trap. After a while, he will obtain several pieces of rare equipment with excellent attributes, which will improve his strength. Equality Gauntlet, Rare Level, Defense 95, Strength 280, Constitution 300, Condition Level 44. Equal Riding Boots, Rare Level, Defense 112, Strength 310, Constitution 240, Condition Level 51. The attributes of the equal suit are simple, with nothing fancy, but the additions are all real things. After collecting them, you will get the special effect of adding one level to the professional specific Halo skills. The increased defense power of the barrier Halo changes from 180 to 215, and the pollution Halo's range changed from 50 meters to 80 meters. Praise of the Knights, Rare Level, Attribute Enhancement by 15%, Damage Reduction by 50, Civilization Upgrade by 1, Condition Level 50, with Title. This was a comprehensive hanging ornament, and Shen Xian accepted it without hesitation. Absolution, Rare Level, Skill Forgiveness, applies a damage-absorbing shield to the unit, absorbing 26,000 points of damage. Cast interval is 2 hours. This is a magic item that does not consume equipment space and has only one skill, but it is extremely useful. It is equivalent to increasing the upper limit of the unit's life and can be used up to level 100. After bringing these things, Shen Xian's package is almost full, but his attributes have reached the level of 40,000 health, 2,200 attack power, and 1,700 defense power. Yan Yao also gained something. There were so many choices among rare items, many of which were exclusive to races and professions. They were extremely targeted and were as valuable as an epic piece of equipment. After a while, all valuable and equipable items were looted, and the two of them felt reluctant to part with the remaining piles of treasures. Would you like to try disarming the trap? Although the success rate of the level 6 disarming technique is low, you might be able to succeed if you are lucky. Yan Yao stood in the distance and released the lifting technique again and again. A strange symbol flashed on the epic item, and then dimmed and disappeared in less than a second. Fail. Fail. After dozens of consecutive failures, Yan Yao's magic was almost exhausted. She poured a bottle of magic potion regardless of the cost. She continued to release it. This was because the magic trap released on the epic item was too terrifying. After 100 times in a row, still no success. Try another one. Shen Xian thought for a moment and pointed to an item and said, although every epic item has magic traps, they may not be the same. Maybe some of them are easy to remove. Yan Yao pursed her lips and said, that makes sense. She drank another bottle of magic potion and continued to try to remove the magic trap on the epic item. The success rate of the dispel technique is less than 1%, which is an arduous test for the player's patience, but they persevere and believe that after 100 attempts, they will achieve a good harvest. Fail. Fail. On the surface of an epic item called the Law of Darkness, the symbol of the dispel spell stayed a little longer. There is hope. Yan Yao calmly released several dispelling spells in succession, and finally dispelled the magic trap after a dazzling light flashed. Law of Darkness, Cloak, Epic Level, Wisdom 900, Intelligence Enhancement 30%, Magic Recovery 15, Skill Dark Transformation, Soul Pollution, Immortality, Condition Level 69. Dark Transformation, converts 15%, add 1000 health value into 800 magic value, casting interval is 90 seconds. Soul Pollution, passive, gain 100 HP and 50 MP after destroying an enemy 30 levels lower than your own. Eternal Life, passive, reduce the penalty after death by 30%. An extremely specific epic item, in the hands of a magic player, is a magic weapon, directly equipped with 20,000 MP, plus there are so many skills. Shen Xian is jealous. But the Dark Law is a piece of equipment suitable for magic professions, and it is impossible to snatch it away. Yan Yao directly equips it on her body, covering her snow-white and attractive back. With the sexy outfit, Yan Yao in front of her can be said to be the most beautiful in the world. Being able to accompany such a confidant when playing games can be said to be the lifelong pursuit of most male compatriots. It seems that the luck has run out. After equipping the Dark Law, although a lot of mana is obtained out of thin air, there is still no more epic item to remove magic traps. This makes Yan Yao's face slightly apologetic. Because of her, Shen Xian has gained nothing. However, Shen Xian also knew that this had nothing to do with Yan Yao. Without Yan Yao's skills, he would not have been able to get so many good things. At this time, footsteps sounded not far away. It's the ogre house. Then several wounded ogres with empty blood and empty magic ran in. They found the crack, but found that their bodies could not enter, which made them extremely depressed and complained about the injustice of the Creator to them. Dizzy. 2000 defense, 1000 points of damage immunity. What kind of weird thing is this? Do we need siege weapons to open this gap? The speaker was Alaska Cod, the deputy captain of the ogre house, a tall and big wilderness hunter wearing thick leather armor. Seeing this team appear at the crack, Shen Xian, who wanted to leave, suddenly had an idea and shouted to the outside, Alaska Cod, I think we can cooperate, so that we can take these treasures away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 203. Alaskan Cod heard Shen Xian's voice and looked into the crack, shouting, Lord, that's great, I wonder what you want to cooperate with. Shen Xian clearly uttered the word transport, handed over a flawless moonstone through the crack, and said, we can move these things away and find a place to sell them. What do you think? What a wonderful idea. Alaskan Cod gave a heartfelt exclamation, obviously unable to resist this temptation, and hurriedly put the gems into the package, but asked, Why do you want to find us? You see, we only have so few people, can we really take away such a huge treasure? Because the ogre has a heavy load, Shen Xian answered, but in his heart he said that he found you because you are few in number. If it were a team of 40 or 50 people, could he still make them listen to him? The size of the player's package depends on strength and race. In the early stage, increasing strength can increase the load, but in the later stage, due to the size of the body, there is a limit to the package space. A person can barely carry 3 or 4 weapons, but a dragon can multiply this number by 10, even if the strength of the two is the same. Unlike the space bracelets in the kingdom and fairy tales, equipment that can open up space to store items is rare. So far, I have seen Frey with it. The space is not large, and the safety significance is greater than the transportation significance. The main purpose is to prevent thieves, not for carrying weight. Most of the time, transportation relies on large units. After listening to his explanation, several players were excited and said, "So that's it? Of course there is no problem. I wonder how many gems are in it? The collection of a famous demigod must be extremely rich." From the Lord's equipment, you can see that at least 3 or 4 parts on him are different from before. As a member of the ogre house, the players have sharp eyes. Our bag can hold 200 items. There are 4 players here. You have to fill our bag. The Alaskan cod thief smiled and looked forward to the Lord taking out the precious things, but he didn't know that Shen Xian had never thought of giving these things to them. "Help me record it." Shen Xian grabbed a handful of gems and said to the people around him. "I remember it." Yan Yao agreed immediately, counting silently, and wrote down the statistics of the gems contained in this handful in the diary she carried with her. At 3*5 her recording method is different from others, using simplified symbols, which is quite efficient. After a while, the bag of an ogre player was filled with 150 gems of various types. These gems are still high quality. The price of one is 6 figures, and the price of a player is 8 figures. This is a treasure that can drive adventurers crazy. Unfortunately, the Alaskan cod and his team have no blood and no magic, and they have no qualifications to turn against each other. They can only obey Shen Xian's arrangements obediently. The gem pile occupied the bag space of 2 players, and Shen Xian planned to use the remaining 2 to store equipment. Equipment is more valuable than gems, but it cannot be taken away without breaking the magic trap. However, with the magic scrolls extorted from the ogre, he got a few extra equipment. These pieces were handed to Alaska Cod as a reward. Ferocious Totem, Tidal Hammer, you want to use these as a reward? Alaska Cod stared at these things unsatisfiedly, his eyebrows twisted into one. Ordinary people must think like this. We worked hard for you to create tens of millions of profits, but we got so little, it's really unacceptable. We are cooperating, there is nothing we can do about it. Shen Xian said unmoved, New York soldier and I are just friends. You can also estimate the value of a few pieces of equipment. 5 figures, this price is quite generous as a reward for transportation. There is also a setting for the secret vault. If the items in the secret vault are less than a certain level, they will explode, so only a limited number can be taken away. This requires Shen Xian to consider what to take away and what to leave behind to prevent accidents when leaving. Shen Xian is not a miser, but he knows the skills of negotiation. He cannot be tolerant from the beginning. Tolerance will only make people push forward. Only a little bit of subtle tug of war is the best way. Seeing that the players could not accept such an outcome, he said, "How about this? There are still some things in the secret library. I will help you take them out as a reward." Shen Xian took a few things used by ogres, such as the chief's mark and the iron thornstone statue. These can be used to exchange for contributions and reputations of the ogre camp. They are not worth much for ordinary players, but they are a big number when sold to ogre players. These things do not take up space, and Shen Xian does not need them. There must be gains and losses. These things are still worth it? Time is running out, Alaskan cod, what do you think? If you don't agree, there will be nothing. Alaskan cod will definitely not do such a useless thing. After all, arguing with the Lord is to gain greater benefits, not to refuse. After a while, several pieces of equipment and some scattered items filled the bags of the remaining two players. They looked at those epic items unwillingly, but if they took one more, it might trigger the protection of the secret vault itself, and a big magic might appear. The secret vault guards might not be worth the loss. Let's search it one last time to see if there is anything worth taking away, Shen Xian said to Yan Yao, and the two of them searched around. This is necessary. Who knows if there will be anything missed? There might be something good in the secret vault that they didn't find and happen to be able to take away. It is obviously not okay to just leave like this. Shen Xian was thoughtful and had plenty of time left, so he searched and moved around a huge secret library little by little. A level 10 original storm scroll caught his eye. This was a scroll of the natural faction, which summoned a hurricane to attack a large area, causing 300 to 2,000 damage in a 5-kilometer area. It could easily massacre hundreds of civilians if released in a city without a defense barrier. There was also a bottle of special healing potion and a tattered double-layer defense barrier blueprint. The harvest was quite gratifying, but Shen Xian suddenly found a strange epic soul center in his eyes. This was a gem-like thing, but it would produce a feeling of nothingness. It was in an unidentified state. What on earth was it? Epic items would never be useless, and this didn't look like an inlaid gem, which made him full of doubts. The soul center was very small, so he put it directly in the package and didn't take up the package space. After finishing this matter, he and Yan Yao jumped out of the crack and returned to the upper level of the palace. Several rays of light slowly lit up from them, prompting, "The chess war zone mission is over, and the players will be teleported out of the battlefield. Please go to the affiliated camp to redeem the corresponding rewards." Shortly after they left, a strange sound came from the secret vault, like the laughter of a devil, like the roar of an explosion, and the defense barrier of the secret vault was triggered. Under the attack of skills with a damage of 100,000, the indestructible secret vault completely disappeared and sank into the endless magma sea. No electricity. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 204. Dark Dragon City. After finishing the chess war area mission, Shen Xian returned here. The levels here are clearly defined. Those weak devils who want to appraise or purchase items will be deceived and threatened. However, after nearly a week of leveling up, Shen Xian approached 70. He was nothing in the gloomy Dragon City, but he was famous in the slums. The best way is to dispose of a large number of treasures in the slums. Firstly, these things cannot be easily brought back to Dusk Town, and secondly, Dusk Town cannot swallow them at will. The laws of space, the size of the territory, and various factors restrict him. Here it may not be able to obtain the greatest benefits, but it is the most rational choice among the desperation. There are hundreds of thousands of devils, large and small, living in the slums. The place is overcrowded. There is a special place to buy stolen goods, and the shrewd-looking devils are in charge of handling large transactions. In view of the huge amount of goods carried by the Lord, converting them all into gold will not be convenient for you to carry them, so we can sign an agreement and barter. I think you will not object. The Awang demon was greedy, with 4 soul-stirring eyeballs protruding from its face. It counted the number of gems back and forth suspiciously, and it took only a moment to get the result. 31.22 million, which is almost half of the working capital of the Chamber of Commerce, but it is more profitable to barter, so it strongly invites Shen Xian to solve the problem in this way. I have no objection. I wonder what you want to exchange for? It goes without saying if it is difficult to bring back items from the main material plane. Of course, How could the Nisir Chamber of Commerce do such a thing to offend a distinguished guest like you? Yu Wangmo licked his chapped lips and said excitedly, we can pay you the rare hell heart in hell. These gems are in it can be sold for 100,000 gold in the main material plane. It is true that the devil is good at deceiving people. The heart of hell is indeed worth the price in the main material plane, and it is small in size. It is easier to bring back to the main material plane than gems. It has many advantages that cannot be compared with other items. However, in hell it is you can see it everywhere, but the price is definitely not that high, only 30,000 gold. Shen Xian sneered, then, I wonder how many hearts of hell I can get. 400 pieces, you should know that this is a reasonable price. Yes, it is indeed reasonable. But I think other chambers of commerce will offer higher prices. After hearing these words, Yu Wangmo knew that these visitors to the main material plane were not easy to fool, and they knew the status of the heart of hell in hell. He could only lower his head and said helplessly, forgive me for my slip of the tongue, I think 800 pieces is a reasonable price. 800? According to Shen Xian's idea, this gem would cost at least 1,200 hell hearts, but he remained unmoved. I want 150, and you can only take away 4 million gems, which even a big country can digest in a year. There are only 500 hell hearts. Do you want me to risk blasphemy and spread terror and be wanted by the church on the surface? Hearing that he was so difficult to deal with, Yu Wangmo no longer had the idea of earning profits from this mortal, and said awkwardly, what do you want? Equipment, blueprints, or scrolls, or a rampaging army. One person. The Nisir Chamber of Commerce can provide you with all the stunning seductresses you want. Shen Xian discussed with several players what can be exchanged. Of course, such a large amount of money cannot be spent in unnecessary ways. It is also a great thing to enjoy in the kingdom. You can see the most delicious food and the most fragrant wine. The most majestic views, all and nothing but real. The cost is naturally high. Perhaps this amount of money is not enough to enjoy the special services of several enchanted demons in hell, so if you want to change it, you need to exchange it for some items with carrying value and purpose. Equipment is a good exchange item. The properties of equipment in hell are generally better than those in the underground world. The Alaskan cod happens to buy some future equipment from hell so that they can maintain combat effectiveness at any level. They can accept paying some cash. Because the income of professional players is very high, unlike a few decades ago when the poor could not even afford the internet fee, it was easy for them to spend tens of thousands of dollars, so Shen Xian handed over the rationing rights for part of the gems. Another part was given to Yan Yao, not intentionally to please him. Yan Yao, as the powerful person in Talinger, was of great significance to the safety of Twilight Town. She could also be on good terms with Greg. If this kind of thing was not handled well, they might suffer in the future. The remaining 50% is his, and he plans to use it for the construction of the territory. After deducting 2.5 layers, he will exchange it for the heart of hell and bring it to the surface world. He will exchange the rest for some drawings and books. He first spent a lot of gems to exchange for some professional skill books. The richer the skills of a profession, the stronger its survivability in facing special situations, the more tactical changes it has, and the more unexpected results it can achieve. The boundless extension of the wizard, the fighting spirit shield of the swordsman, the tactical charge of the knight, and the combat art of the mage. Shen Xian selected more than 20 books in total. Professional skills are still a hidden ability. Compared with increasing health, the attack power is more confusing. Then there are improved drawings of some buildings, such as an improved version of the town center, building a fell statue, which can increase the health recovery speed of surrounding units by 1, the Hall of Power, the territory's satisfaction +1, the Lord's statue, and the loyalty +1. These are all town centers of outbuildings. Even so, it was still impossible to process all the gems, plus there were some other things. After talking with Yu Wangmo, he didn't find anything worth paying attention to. Bringing too many items back was also a challenge to the laws of space. During the transmission process, there might be a negative state of coordinate offset and item loss. He didn't dare to take the risk without any test. There were more than 7 million goods left. Yu Wangmo also wanted to eat these goods, and asked, "Your Excellency really doesn't want to get a title in hell? As long as you are willing to pay 2 million, you can get the title of Knight, and 9 million can get the title of Baron. Do you still have concerns? A large piece of land, we can prepare a portal for you. In case your power in the main material plane is devastated, you still have this place. You can choose a territory and operate under the wings of Lord Sherlock. As long as you pay 30% of the tax, what are you still hesitating about?" Yu Wangmo's words were full of temptation. "I think I need to think about it." Yu Wangmo's proposal makes sense, but what about the dangers of obtaining a fief in hell? From the information of those players who accidentally went to hell to develop, they lived a painful and happy life. Maybe they could upgrade several levels a day, or maybe one day your territory might be hit by a space storm and there would be no land left. Too much change and instability, this is the rule of hell. Without enough strength, a big devil can take away all your hopes. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 205. When Shen Xian returned to Dusktown late at night, Dusktown was shrouded in a quiet and peaceful atmosphere. Time pointed to night. There was no difference between night and day underground. There were few people on the street, and patrols occasionally passed by. Only the taverns were brightly lit and bustling. The black market exchange was open to the public and received chambers of commerce from all over the country. The center of the town dragged a long and thin shadow under the cover of the defensive barrier, covering Shen Xian's tall and cold figure, welcoming its master. "Miss Yao is discussing something with several guests inside," Tu Jukan said with a stern face, and nodded to the players behind him, and the players made way for Shen Xian to walk in. In a relatively small study room, two dwarves sat opposite Miss Yao. One was called Goldfinger, a powerful production player, the first person in the country to reach production skill level 7, 8, 9, mass-producing a rare equipment every day. The other was called Bitpig, the team leader of the American White Isle Game Studio, one of the few large studios that can stay out of the constraints of the American Game Industry Association. Shen Xian knew all about the famous organizations in the industry. "I wonder what these people want to do here? I heard that White Isle accepted a special mission in the north. Could it be related to that incident?" Goldfinger and Bitpig stood up when they saw Shen Xian. "Hello, Lord, we invite you to participate in the mission of the End of the North Rift on behalf of the White Isle Studio. This is a world mission involving 5 million square kilometers of land in the northern area of the Night Star continent. We have just talked to Miss Night and Day. I wonder if you are interested in this matter." Shen Xian had no expression on his face, but he was secretly surprised in his heart. World mission? This is probably the first world mission in the kingdom. In addition to having a wider range, world missions also have unpredictable changes to the historical process of the game. He doesn't know what the content of the mission is. What kind of rewards are there, how difficult it is, these are all what he cares about. Then, can you tell me more about the situation in the north and the specific situation of the mission? Goldfinger and Bitpig said immediately, "Of course." The four of them gathered in front of a table, on which was placed the northern map brought by the two. This is a map of the surface world, depicting several large and scattered countries and several large areas in the north of the Night Star continent. The blocked northern map was immediately opened. Through the map column that can be zoomed and annotated, Shen Xian listened to the two people talking about the situation in the north. Strictly speaking, the north of the Night Star continent is independent of the continent. From the Eternal Fortress in the extreme north of the Pharaoh Empire to the north is the North Rift Mountains, covering an area of nearly 1 million square kilometers. The mountain range has steep terrain and is distributed with high-level monsters. Coupled with the harsh climatic conditions, there is little communication between the north and south of the North Rift Mountains. The North Rift Mountains are the place where gods live for generations among the barbarians who have lived in the north. Although ancient relics and holy emblems of gods can often be found there, few people dare to invade here. North of the mountains is a vast glacial hills. The thousands of kilometers of coastline have created countless seaports and bred countless countries. Unlike the mainland, there is only one large country, the Art Council, in the north, with a population of more than 5 million, ruled by dwarves. The remaining 5 small countries have a population of about 1 million, ruled by barbarians, humans, ogres, and orcs. Although the population of the Art Council in the south is less than that of a province of the Pharaoh Empire, the climate environment in the north makes the unit level here generally higher. The Art Council is a special country with a clan ruling system. The most powerful clans in the country take turns to control the highest power of the country. There will be fierce competition every 9 years to seize the seat of the speaker. When it comes to the world quest, the end of the North Rift, we have to mention the trigger of the quest, Goldfinger. As the leader among the production players, he plays an important role in the 19 clans with seats in the Art Council. He forges fine items for the Engel clan he serves, and becomes an important role in the clan, which is valued by the clan leader Hamid. The competition once every 9 years has just ended. The Engel family lost and did not become the highest authority in the council, but Hamid was unwilling to accept it. As one of the few who was raised by humans and accepted a lot of human customs when he was young, he also has the greatest desire for power. Therefore, he conspired to seize the power of the Art Council and gave most of the power to Goldfinger, hoping that he could help him find some external allies. Although Goldfinger has high production skills, he knew that he was unable to bear this responsibility and quickly gave the task to Bitpig. Even though White Isle is a top character in the studio category in the United States, he cannot be solved by a clan in the council at present. Bitpig, who still feels that he is not strong enough, looks for powerful allies everywhere to share the rewards of the world quest, the end of the North Rift. He found Zushan, the most powerful underground forces in the northern part of the Big Boss continent, and now he found Shenxian, and wanted to invite him to participate. Shenxian carefully read the task description of the end of the North Rift. Similar to most regional tasks, the task itself does not provide rewards, but it is easier to receive related tasks with this task, and the rewards will be relatively high. To participate in the rebellion, you need to have enough strength. With so many players participating, the technical council must be undercurrent. How much power does the Engel clan have to succeed? If he fails, not to mention that the army he sent out will be completely destroyed, the surface world will also remember his name and expel him as a disruptor of order. Trade rights, missionary rights, development rights, and treasures passed down from generation to generation by the Engel family, the secret collection of Ptolemy, the fallen shepherd god of the dwarf pantheon stored in the technical council, hundreds of level 6 and level 7 technologies, rare drawings, controlled slaves, and raised beasts. After Shenxian read out these possible rewards, Goldfinger secretly thought that this person was not easy to mess with. No wonder he heard that the American Game Industry Association listed him as one of the top 10 dangerous lists. Bitpig, with the idea of a businessman, wanted to achieve a win-win situation. He knew that White Isle's unilateral involvement in northern affairs would only cause the entire studio to sink into the quagmire, and the studio did not have legendary game masters like Never who could create miracles. For a game studio with assets of hundreds of millions, Bitpig must not take risks in such a place. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 206. Then, please explain to me the power controlled by the Ngir clan. As a clan that has lost the competition, it cannot be too weak. Yes, let me introduce the power of the Ngir clan. Bitpig patiently opened the map and pointed at the vast lands south of the Skills Council and said, the Ngir clan controls all the power of the Adventurers Association. It can be said that the Skills Council more than 90% of the information on mineral and forest products is in the hands of the Ngir clan. The strength possessed by the leader of the Hamot tribe includes 10,000 clan legions and 30,000 mercenary legions. The remaining 18 clans respectively control the magic power of the Rune Ring, the technical power of the Craftsman Guild, and the army power of 200,000. The economic power of the trading port. On the surface, the Ngir clan is not dominant in strength, but the wealth accumulated by the Ngir clan itself in the past few decades is astonishing. It has mastered the addresses of dozens of giant mines, several high-end. What they lack in the domestication technology of Warcraft is the army. As long as they have enough allies, they can control the Skill Council in a short time and prevent the entire country from being attacked due to rebellion. According to the data, the number of troops owned by the Skills Council is about 300,000, including the elite second and third turn professional Snow Vulture Knights, the clan Holy Spirit, minus the 110,000 troops guarding the Scott Fortress in the south and the Demon Barrier in the north. Ngir the clan's 40,000 strong army still needs to face the 150,000 strong dwarf army that is stronger than us. Even if the 150,000 legions do not need to be completely wiped out, rebellion is unforgivable to the upright dwarves, and even if they win, there will not be much left. Coupled with the intervention of the Rune Ring, the temple forces will definitely be one of the forces they have to face. As long as one of the dwarf gods living in the kingdom of God is willing to appear and show his miracles, then their rebellion will be ended in failure. Shen Xian quickly retrieved the power analysis table published by the major forces in the northern part of the Night Star continent from the internet. These are all explicit forces, excluding the elite secretly cultivated. There are many know-it-all players in various places, and players are keen to understand the strength of the organizations they support, which can be easily found. White Isle can dispatch 10,000 troops, the Heavens are 30,000, the Ascetics are 20,000, the Big Boss is 5,000, Dusk Town is 5,000, and the scattered forces are 20,000, the total is 90,000. Our advantage is to take the initiative. I won't talk about the difficulty of the action, but I mainly want to know how to solve the problem of the Rune Ring. Goldfinger was already prepared when asked, "That's it?" The specific action plan will be discussed together after agreeing to participate in the mission. Regarding the Rune Ring, the Lord does not need to worry. The adventurous lady supports Hamot's actions, so the Rune Ring will never be formed. Unified opinion. Shen Xian exclaimed when he heard these words. Lady Adventure is one of the more famous gods in the dwarf pantheon besides the main god Morden. She is a goddess who likes to adventure around. She has the three major responsibilities of travel, freedom, and wealth. On the surface, this is a kind goddess who is harmless to humans and animals, but the three major priesthoods have special effects for believers. The priesthood of the gods in the kingdom has the special effect of improving the power of believers or the attributes of the parish. The more pious the believers are, the greater the power they gain, and the stronger the gods are. The two interact with each other. Among the three major clergy, travel can increase the movement speed of believers and the movement penalty caused by terrain. Freedom can reduce the duration of negative states and satisfaction with the territory of democratic lords. Wealth controls the player's probability of dropping treasure and prompts when approaching found objects. Possible. Therefore, the Adventure Lady is an important deity in the Dwarven pantheon. She lives in the journey boat near the main temple in the Kingdom of God and has millions of believers. Just why does MS Adventure support Hamot's actions? This would offend Malden's Majesty, but it would be too far-fetched to use Adventure as a link. Maybe the two have an ulterior relationship, which is the key to Hamot's courage to launch this rebellion. At that time, NPC forces will definitely intervene. In terms of distance, Dusktown is about 800 kilometers away from the Council of Skills. However, the several giant mines promised by Hammer are all in the hinterland of the North Split Mountains, adjacent to the border of your fiefdom. Goldfinger said something cryptic. 800 kilometers, which is an almost unimaginable distance in the underground world, and a march time of hundreds of hours. A rational player would never do such a thing, but if you include several giant mines, it is worth considering. The two said everything they could, and Tu Jukan came in to arrange their accommodation. Only Shen Xian and Miss Yao were left in the room. What do you think? I think this is a great opportunity to rise. The more chaotic the situation, the more helpful it is for players. Now our power in Dusk Hills is roughly saturated. We have Earl Skirman in the south and Neisel in the west. Earl, these two will not give you the opportunity to develop so easily. If we don't seek some unexpected breakthrough points, we won't be able to break the deadlock. That's good. Shen Xian smiled and said, Miss Yao, your analytical skills have improved a lot recently. I think so too. It's just that the expedition is a big problem and we have to wait. Bitpig found some big underground forces in the south of the Council of Skills out of helplessness. In addition to the fact that the power held by the Engel clan was in the south, there was another reason that there were no underground forces in the north. Compared with the vast underground space in the Dusk Hills, the ground under the feet of the Council of Skills was much narrower. The largest space was only 10 meters wide. Only players who chose the caveman would be born here. So, in addition to the 5 countries surrounding the Council of Skills, the underground forces were the biggest force he was fighting for. Shen Xian, who had a little experience in the situation in the north, was not in a hurry. The world mission was like playing chess, which required strategizing. Although the world mission at the end of the North Rift was tempting, it was not the most important thing at the moment. They still had a week to complete the short-term goals before planning the long-term goals. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 207. Shen Xian took out a bag of skill books, and copied part of them for Ryan and Calicos. It was slightly damaged, but when dozens of books marked with the Hell Publishing mark were piled on the square table, it was still interesting to people. With no small visual impact. So many? You shouldn't have robbed any lord, right? It's not just level 1 skill books, but also auxiliary skill books. In this way, our town library can popularize education, and if you recruit soldiers, you can also get more good results. In addition to the library inside the Mage Tower and the library inside the Academy, these educational facilities for residents are distributed on several streets in Dusktown. Although residents of the town do not need to learn magic or martial arts, they do have a need for auxiliary skills. For example, basic history, geography, local customs, underworld studies, etiquette, debate, aristocracy, and religion are extremely helpful for improving the quality of residents, and for the birth of units and advancements with special attributes among the residents. Elites have a considerable chance of improvement. The Plane of Hell has a long history. If you say that the devils are a group of lawless thugs, then the devils are a group of insidious and vicious nobles. Their years of conquest on the endless abyss, alien planes, and the main material plane have made them master a large number of even the royal books. Books and materials that may not be owned by the library, even those obtained from the lowest slums in the Dark Dragon City, are much more valuable than those bought from ordinary places. In addition, there is only one of these books, which greatly improves the quality of residence. Reading 10,000 different books is completely different from reading 10,000 same books, so as long as a resident finishes reading, he will become the upper class of the territory. Miss Yao has always liked to take advantage of others, So she selected a few books from this tempting pile of the cheapest books worth thousands of gold and stored them in the books in the Mage Tower. Shen Xian found out the books that could be given to the public and put them into a pile. The remaining ones would be distributed to the army, colleges, and other places. Just after learning the skills, you also need to learn to use these skills, which requires the commander's efforts and cooperation. After settling the book matter, Shen Xian called Fleur over. I brought these hell hearts back from hell. I wonder how many can be eaten on the black market. Fleur grabbed the small heart of hell, and a cold and majestic aura of hell suddenly hit her face. Her cute face showed surprise. It's still a very pure heart of hell. Brother Lord, you've made a lot of money now. The black market handles about 1 yuan a month. 1 yuan a month is 1 yuan for 2.5 days, about 3 yuan a week, and only 13 yuan a month. So slow, Shen Xian asked, counting silently. Of course, even in the Lost City's large trade market, it's only 10 yuan, but you can entrust Dean Ryan to contact some mages who study dark faction spells, and maybe you can take away a few at once. With the help of a good magic circle and the spiritual power of the mage, a Hell's Heart can summon a small Hell Legion. Therefore, in the eyes of the Archmage, the Hell's Heart is a rare spellcasting object. Also, you can give it to Greg. 1 Heart of Hell can almost increase Greg's strength by half a level, or it's good to keep it for hoarding. This kind of thing will never depreciate, even if Hell is raging and the gods fall. In this era, the price of Hell Heart has never depreciated, it is a kind of hard currency. Hearing what Fleur said, Shen Xian had no choice but to temporarily put aside his thoughts on dealing with all the Hell Hearts and turn to deal with other things. When is the level of plain trade now? Shen Xian asked her, and Fleur listened and said, the 6th step requires the territory's trade volume to reach 1 million, the territory to master level 8 technology, and the population of Dusktown to reach 10,000. What do these 3 conditions mean? Shen Xian thought secretly. This type of construction tasks usually do not raise the requirements of the task so idiotically. The first time required a trade volume of 1 million, and the second time it required 1,000. 10,000, the third time is 100 million, there is no end to this. Could it be said that he has fallen into a dead end in the task? But the 3 conditions are not that difficult. The most difficult level 8 skill only requires about 1 million gold and only takes dozens of hours. Is there anything hidden? He looked at Fleur's innocent face, but couldn't think of an answer, and asked, are there no other benefits to the mission? Not yet, but if you want to develop plain trade, you must complete the series of tasks. He had no choice but to take advantage of his good relationship with Fleur and asked, so, can you tell me the content of the mission of Plain Trade 7? Fleur hesitated for a moment, probably wondering whether she should tell him these things because of their relationship, but she relaxed and said, when the population of the fief reaches 100,000, he will be rewarded with a book production science and improve the collection of various resources. 3% speed. What about step 8? Fleur paused longer this time. It requires production science to reach level 6, which requires about 5 million gold. Shen Xian felt that he was getting closer and closer to the truth, and wanted to ask, but Fleur shook his head and said, brother, don't try to spy on the information. In the end, no matter how much he tried to comfort him, he stopped talking. Fortunately, these tasks were closely related to the territory. Even if the tasks were not completed, they still needed to be achieved. Shen Xian stopped being demanding and let Fleur go. Do you really like to bully children? Miss Xiao said. It would be strange if a beautiful woman didn't bully someone like me. I think Miss Xiao knows who is better in the territory, Shen Xian said, glancing at her. Unexpectedly, she didn't say anything, but just expressed indignation with her eyes, and then heard her say, I want to establish the 4th elite in the territory. Really? Our productivity is enough, but is the technology mature? Shen Xian stared at Miss Xiao and thought for a while, but don't you like the life of a lone ranger? For players who have no worries, adventurers are their ideals, but for me, this territory now needs to be defended with strength. As for the relevant technology and books, I have purchased them through the trading platform, which is about 500,000 investment. I don't object. Just agreed? Aren't you afraid that I will turn against you? Miss Yao muttered secretly, but she was happy in her heart. The establishment of a new organization in the territory must be approved by the Lord. I didn't expect it to be so simple. Just looking at his half-smile face, she felt that it was not so simple. She must ask, but why is Dad always missing? What is the name of the fourth elite? We have 1 week. If we want to participate in the world mission of the North Rift's End, it is best to complete the construction of the fourth elite within 1 week, Shen Xian said, looking at Miss Xiao, and saw that she took out a carefully written plan. Guardian, he read out the name of the fourth elite. Online game DungeonMaster. Author, Buletin Lao Buletin Si Buletin Me. Chapter 208. In the early morning of the next day, Shen Xian lazily lay on the bed and rested while walking in the city's commercial streets with the help of virtual technology. The trading platform realized by virtual technology is no longer a collection of binary numbers, but a lively real world. You can buy anything you can imagine here, all kinds of strange and all-encompassing. This is a platform for commercial activities in online games, which receives thousands of customers every year. Shen Xian was looking for, trying to exchange a large amount of cash for gold. Although the 9 major banks handle exchange business, they control the amount and charge high fees. It is still relatively cheap to find a game studio. Using the privileges of Bauhinia VIP members, he quickly put the goods of some territories such as the Heart of Hell on the trading platform, and chose not to deliver the goods to the door. In this way, the players who bought the Heart of Hell must travel thousands of miles to Dusktown to pick up the goods, saving a lot of energy for themselves. The price he offered was 100,000 per piece, not too high. There were 10 pieces in total, not too many. The range was limited to 1,000 kilometers. Even for dwarves, it would take at most dozens of hours. Adventurers could move much faster than the army. Then he began to look for gold sellers. All major game studios would accept these businesses. Because the game had been in operation for 3 months, some large territories could produce a large amount of gold for exchange every day, usually between tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. Although there were fewer adventurers, the output of some high-end players who were capable of looting dragon nests was also considerable. It was through this method that the big guilds were able to gather huge amounts of gold in a short period of time to make up for the astonishing costs of war and construction, and also enabled the strength of the big guilds to expand in a short period of time, creating a group of small rich people in reality. However, players who can invest in the game and recover their investment are real players. Once upon a time, the American esports king Sin entered the online game world without a penny and with a basic game device worth less than $1,000, but a few years later, his net worth was nearly hundreds of millions. There was also a Japanese Kojima investment company that was ambitious to seize the online game market and spent 30 billion yen, but a few years later, it quietly withdrew. In reality, Shen Xian does not have expensive luxury sports cars or amazing real estate investments. He may be a middle-class person in the eyes of ordinary people, one of the happiest people, but in the virtual world, he has this or that identity. A large number of top honorary accounts of the world's virtual industry organizations, the contact information of the top game studio executives, and most importantly, he has a legacy in the virtual world. In the past, due to the short life of online games and the unbalanced economic system, the millions of equipment in the heyday of the game became worthless when the game collapsed. But now it is different. Under the promotion of the 9 major banks, the industry has implemented unwritten rules. Except for the level, everything the player has will be returned in some way when the online game is on the verge of decline, and used for new expenses. It can be seen that this is a way to encourage spending. The player's money exists in the virtual world in the form of deposits. You can use this money, or you can borrow this money to rise or fail and have nothing. The legacy enabled him to obtain so many identities in less than 10 years after entering the online game world. Many of them have various restrictions requiring the recommendation of the world's top game players and requiring more than 1 million in consumption, but for players, these things are a symbol of identity and a kind of capital to make a living in the virtual world. Although the legacy is tempting, he uses less than 1%. More often, he relies on his personal ability, the judgment of the situation, the analysis of the battle situation, and the grasp of the market, which are the qualities that an excellent player should have. Apart from the inheritance, he still has hundreds of millions in the virtual world. Only 1/10 of this money has entered the kingdom, and there are still 9 layers that need to be gradually exchanged for gold. But not all. Players usually adopt the half system, that is, the wealth ratio between the virtual world and the real world is maintained at 1:1, so that if any world is in trouble, the other world can easily provide assistance. There are more than tens of thousands of game studios in the world, and the business information released is also massive. He browsed and searched quickly. Sakurai Studio, the fixed daily tax of Sakura Town, 200,000 gold, minimum reservation for 1 week. Red Heart Studio, the most powerful game studio in the UK, is dedicated to serving you. Who will own the 1.92 million gold? We provide a large number of small gifts and out-of-print collections, including the original F/U0026S, Fairy and Tau, rulebook comparable to D&D, the aborted Blood Lion 2 development collection materials, and the signed digital photo of the chief engineer of the game development department of Myth Group. The quantity is limited and will be given away while supplies last. Fatty Studio, selling 580,000 gold, just dug out from the Vespol mine, only cost, smelting fee, labor fee, and transportation fee. Shen Xian read them one by one, dragging the ones with the right price into the shopping cart, and directly pulling down the business of some reputable studios. The transaction of gold has always been frequent, and there are even people who specifically watch the business of good studios, and buy them immediately as long as they are listed, so it is not easier to find a good channel than in the game. It was not until half an hour later, after browsing the business within a radius of 1,000 kilometers with Dusktown as the center, that he felt a little sleepy. The communication prompt rang, and a virtual screen appeared in front of him, showing a slightly old face, but the word resolute was clearly written on the angular face. He would not be underestimated because of his age, because the man in front of him was Miss Xiao's father, a man who could change the world in the past era, Xiao Yan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 209. In the history of mankind, there have always been several organizations that can exist above the state. They either possess absolute force or possess shocking wealth. They are products of the rules of this world, enjoying privileges and transcendence. In the world, the Lock Consortium is one of them. Unfortunately, it is too young after all and cannot take root in this world with intricate roots like a big tree. It is difficult to dig out and completely eliminate it. But for one person, such a rise is enough to attract the attention of the world, and even the control of the media cannot stop word of mouth from neighbors. Xiao Yan chose seclusion, disappearing from the eyes of the world, hiding in the city, and strategizing. Even his daughter Xiao Yunruo doesn't know her father's true residence. Shen Xian is one of the few people who can find him at any time. This is a preferential treatment. But more often than not, Shen Xian doesn't want to see this person, perhaps because of instinctive disgust, or perhaps mixed with special emotions that are difficult to understand. So when Xiao Yan stood in front of Shen Xian, he subconsciously turned his head to the side until he spoke. The matter seems to have nothing to do with anyone, not Miss Xiao, Aunt Bing, or anyone else, but everything to do with Kingdom. As a cross-generational online game, although Xinhui Group has not announced any technological progress, there is still a large amount of evidence showing that the country is unusual. This is the source of the attention of the superiors, not from the surface but from the essence. They are keen as awareness of a series of special places. For example, a large number of players believe that the advanced NPCs in Kingdom have achieved the artificial intelligence described in science fiction novels. As long as the technology matures, a large number of real people can be migrated directly through cloning technology. For example, Kingdom has already captured more than 80% of the online game market, and has also captured a large number of users in the sports, film, and television entertainment industries. People no longer watch the Chinese Super League, people no longer watch My Country, and a large number of people who did not originally play games have become players. There are also a large number of businessmen, and the kingdom is full of gold. This is probably why the topic is related to the kingdom. Chen Xian, you must seize control of the Skills Council. This time Xiao Yan's words were slightly commanding, but Chen Xian knew that this man would never be arrogant, and these words were ultimately out of concern. A detailed map appeared in front of the two of them, depicting glacial valleys, plains, and hills, and cities on the winding coastline in the form of icons in the white snow. As long as the mind touches there, a detailed explanation will appear. Display the city's population, army, rulers, special products, beliefs, and main forces one by one. This is a large map of the north. Producing such a map is time-consuming and labor-intensive, and will never appear for free on the internet. As long as a player dares to publish it, he will face prosecution from the map owner and legal trial. These are secrets and must not be leaked. But Xiao Yan gave it to him without reservation. The preparation phase for the end of the North Split lasts about 4 weeks, followed by the prelude phase, which lasts about 3 weeks. During these 7 weeks, you must develop strong enough, otherwise you can take up to 10 of the Skills Council with your current strength. 1% of the benefits. He paused, and what I ask for is at least 1/2. A mission will change due to the intervention of external forces. The larger the mission, the more unpredictable variables will occur due to the butterfly effect. The preparation period mentioned by Goldfinger is 2 weeks, but it may not be the most authentic information. This means that it will take at least 7 weeks for the world mission of the End of the North to fully unfold. Control a country? This is a difficult and challenging task, but controlling the dwarves is equivalent to gaining their forging art and exploration talents passed down from generation to generation. This is a long-term strategic investment. A population of 5 million, hundreds of millions in gold taxes, hundreds of thousands of mines, and blacksmith shops, these are priceless. But the risk is great. It happened that the man in front of him had gained a firm foothold in the ups and downs. For him, life was like gambling. His heart had long since become indifferent and became as vast as the sea. The first question. Give me 7 weeks to develop. I can manage a population of 100,000 and an army of 15,000. This force will still not be able to play a decisive role in the mission of the End of the North Split. In other words, even if okay, I don't think it's worth it. Xiao Yan said, time is precious. Players pay attention to the founding of the ancient country but fail to notice the secret actions of freedom. They don't know that the ancient European Van Zwo family has opened up a vast country in the alien plane. This is a change. In this world of competition, the only way to be content with the status quo is to remain mediocre, and to stand higher and see farther. So, you have to do it. The words are not subjective at all, as if they are quietly stating a fact. Shen Xian gave in. Okay, how could an old stubborn man be persuaded by a few words? In 2 words, it was a generation gap, but at least in terms of interests, their goals were not different. Second question. The power I control is far from enough. There is no deterrent weight, no overwhelming trump card. Influencing a distant country is not enough for me to obtain sufficient benefits. But you've already thought about it, haven't you? The strategic alliance with Dusktown as the core, which of these players do you not know? There are only two threats that need to be eliminated, the Vank family in the west and Count Silman in the south, two NPCs. When the strategic alliance is complete, then it will make sense to control a surface country, Xiao Yan said in a deep voice. You can try to cooperate with that woman, so that the Vank family will become easier to deal with. I'll consider it. Chen Xian lowered his head and pondered, I'll handle the things here, and I'll find a way to raise funds to integrate the power of Dusk Hills. I'll handle the things in the north, remember the name Samir, I'll send him to contact you. Nothing is wrong, the encrypted channel is not without risks. Nothing. The screen disappeared, and Chen Xian returned to reality. 7 more weeks? For him, these 7 weeks of peace are enough. However, Miss Xiao was still not mentioned. Could it be that this man is really an unqualified father? But it doesn't seem like that. Now it seems like he is taking care of Miss Xiao. It is really a troublesome thing, but things are unpredictable. Who would remember that the girl next to him is the little sister who he peeked at bathing in kindergarten? Life is sometimes so wonderful, he thought. Online game Dungeon Master. Author, Bulletin Lao Bulletin Si Bulletin Me. Chapter 210. The next day, when Shen Xian landed in the country, he saw the farewell messages from Goldfinger and Bitpig. The situation in the north did not seem to be deteriorating so quickly, so they did not need to make a decision so quickly, so Shen Xian promised that they would cooperate, and the people returned to the north in a hurry. Dusktown continues to develop, relying on its capital advantages to gradually annex surrounding territories. After a long period of time, it finally reached the full value of 225 territories. The territory in the camp and gathering center stage has an average population of 400, and it is in the village center stage. The territory has an average population of 1000, and the territory in the urban center stage has an average population of 5000. The entire fiefdom has a population of about 75,000, and the population density is 3.3 people/square kilometer. There is still a long way to go before reaching saturation. If you want the population of this land to grow rapidly, in addition to encouraging births, you must also improve the quality of life of the residents. The numerical response is satisfaction. If you want to increase satisfaction, you need to build various buildings, libraries that provide knowledge, an arena for entertainment, a garden for rest, and a temple for faith, so that satisfaction will gradually increase until it reaches the allowed peak. Shen Xian's development direction for the territory is peaceful rise. Although he can expand his strength by forcing small surrounding forces to pay tribute, this method will not accelerate the development of the territory for the capital-rich Dusktown. On the contrary, it will create many potential opponents. The army is not allowed to leave 10 kilometers away from the border of the fiefdom except for leveling up and suppressing bandits. All players focus on encouraging fertility and construction development. After entrusting these development tasks to Miss Xiao, Shen Xian returned to Hell at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yan Yao was not here at this time, so he could only look around and strive to reach level 75 within a week. Odin was still worried about his Shadow Dragon mount. The bored two people found tasks very efficiently. After a while, they found several seemingly good tasks as today's goals. Mission 1, destroy the Paro Fortress and follow the Dark Warlord to the Paro Fortress in the south. It is occupied by a human archmage and is full of magical creatures and alchemy statues. The reward is 700,000 experience points and 1,000 gold. The reward for this mission is not great, but you can ride it during the mission. Although it is not a shadow dragon but an enslaved shadow dragon, it is definitely a great opportunity for Odin. There is no need to log in to fight during the process, you only need to control the breath of the shadow dragon. In fact, the design idea of the mission is to let players experience the fun of aerial combat. However, there are still many places to provide players with experience during the mission. Through skills you can gain a lot of experience. One is last hit, one is indirect damage, and the other is participation in combat. If you pay attention to these three aspects, the efficiency will be very different. If a player just casually completes the task, the efficiency is 1, then the player who pays attention to these three aspects can achieve an efficiency of 3. The duration of the mission to destroy Paro Fortress was 90 minutes. It was already afternoon after the entire mission was completed. After a long battle in the country, there must be a long rest. In the afternoon, the two of them dispersed to look for non-combat missions and potential in the Dark Dragon City. Business opportunities. The non-combat tasks are more complicated. Some are to collect maps of the surrounding areas, and some are to take care of the young dragons in Dragon City. They are very interesting, but the difficulty is not low at all. Compared with the chess war, which is like an experience extraction machine, the efficiency of the current tasks is much lower, but it is higher than the main material plane. As long as you work hard, you can level up in 10 hours. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Shen Xian finally reached the 5.7 million experience required for upgrade. A little devil suddenly appeared in front of him and told him that the Nisar Chamber of Commerce was looking for him. Have you considered it, Lord? Exchange the remaining gems for titles, so that you can own your own land. This time, the first level 110 Yawangmo received Shen Xian. The higher the level of the Yawangmo, the stronger its ability to seduce. However, the difference from the Yawangmo is that the former uses power and money, while the latter uses beauty. Shen Xian even felt that his body was out of control, which was an inevitable result of the difference in level between the two. Seeing that Shen Xian was still trying to resist his temptation, Yu Wangmo said, "The Nisar Chamber of Commerce has always been open-minded to those coming from the main material plane. We are willing to provide Hellgate with financial and technical assistance. In this way, we only need to pay a small amount. You can connect your power to Hell with just a small amount of money. In this evil world, your power will grow vigorously. Do you still feel dissatisfied?" Shen Xian nodded slightly. A fiefdom was not valuable, because the vast Hell was full of desolate territories. A level 90 devil could easily establish a kingdom of his own in these territories, but the Gate of Hell was very valuable. This requires a lot of expenditure and high-end power. Only NPCs above level 120 have the ability to complete the teleportation circle required by the Gate of Hell, which can enable units to travel between the two worlds. The Knights of the Black Blade led by Luna and the Bloody Cross of Tajukan can easily grow through this shortcut, but the Hand of Wuzelan and the Guardian are not suitable. It's just that the constraints of space laws prevent a large amount of material transfer here like the fire elemental plane. This is the only flaw of the territory. The price given by Nisar Chamber of Commerce can be said to be very reasonable. He carefully checked the contract between him and the Nisar Chamber of Commerce. His last concern was that there was something wrong with the contract. After spending half an hour reading the contract of less than 1,000 words, he signed his name after confirming that there was no problem with the contract. He was a knight under Earl Sharlock and owned a territory of 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers. This territory had been chosen by the Awangmo for him long ago, in a lava river on the edge of Earl Sharlock's territory. On the surface, this place is barren and desolate, and the lava river can even occupy 1/3 of the territory, but compared to other places, this is a rich land. The lava river produces all kinds of minerals, many of which are extremely rare. In addition, the Nisar Chamber of Commerce donated 1,000 fallen demons and 150,000 stones, and the territory broke ground immediately. I don't know why the nicer Chamber of Commerce suddenly changed its attitude towards you. Don't you think these Yawangmo have become enthusiastic? Yan Yao said to Shen Xian standing on the bank of the lava river. Shen Xian smiled, I did find it, but I didn't think of the reason. Maybe there is something I didn't find. The construction efficiency of 1000 fallen demons is extremely fast. In addition, there is no food and wood, no satisfaction and civilization and other settings of the main material plane. Once there are sufficient manpower and resources, the construction of the territory will be very fast. At 7 o'clock in the evening, this place has become a small village with a population of 1000. Shen Xian is fiddling with a strange stone. It is the soul center obtained from the secret library of the Hellhound King that day. What makes Yan Yao strange is that she can't identify the origin of the stone even though her auxiliary skills have been greatly improved in the past few days. What is the soul center? This stone may have extraordinary significance. Seeing that Yan Yao couldn't identify it, Shen Xian put the stones into the bag, jumped onto the shadow dragon, and the two returned to the Dark Dragon City.